Power building is the blend of the main three powerlifting exercises: squat, bench press, deadlift, combined with bodybuilding accessories and volume to evoke more hypertrophy or muscle size along with strength. I have watched Natural Hypertrophy's Power Building is an Abomination video, and I believe it was great. I've said this in the past, but I never really thought that in 2023, knowing so much about hypertrophy, we needed a video about this, but it seems like we do. I have also watched all of the response videos, and I believe they were good, but I didn't like them, mainly because they didn't discuss the points what natural hypertrophy was making. That's why I'm here. So I collected and decided to go over all of his reasoning, because I'm not a powerlifter, I'm not a powerlifting coach, and I believe natural hypertrophy is neither of those either. So let's start with the first one. Exercise superiority. He says that the bench press is not superior to a push-up or a dip. I believe those two exercises are not the best comparison for hypertrophy exercises, but if we are strictly talking about barbell lift, as in barbell bench press, it is still in a good tier, like an A tier, but it is definitely not the best for hypertrophy. Deadlift is nowhere near as good as a Romanian deadlift for the posterior chain muscles like glutes and hamstring, and he's spot on. And if you don't believe that, you can keep doing your deadlifts. Barbell squats are okay, but they are not even good if you are comparing them to a Smith machine squat, a pendulum squat, or a hack squat. So this makes 1-0 to an each. More and more bodybuilders are moving away from the big three. And this is true. But I love when people say, oh, but Tom Platz did, and name any elite genetic freak who would grow even from looking at a person lifting weights. And it is a good thing that we know so much about science, because training is nothing else but manipulating resistance, if you can, to train the muscles at different lengths or where they have the best leverage to get the best results. And more bodybuilders realize that the main three lifts didn't serve their goals. They could get better results if they ditched those and focused on three other lifts. So that makes it 2-0 to an each. The big three are overrated. Barbell movements are overrated, and nobody can explain why they are not. It is true, nobody can explain why the barbell movements are not overrated. They are literally nothing else, just a vertically pointing down resistance, gravity. They are not fancy, they are not even a magical tool. Everything in the gym is a tool to manipulate resistance. And barbells are good, but they are nothing else, just that. Good. That takes us to 3-0 to an each. Not everyone is suited for the big three. That is the key point here. Even if you don't like them, you are being forced to do them because they are the core of your training program. If you have bad mobility, longer legs, then squatting is going to be a nightmare for you. If you have one bad shoulder, a barbell bench press is going to be a nightmare for you. And the deadlift, well, Romanian deadlift is just better. And it is true, you can improve your mobility, but there are people with really long legs and really poor mobility that they would need to improve it so much that it is way beyond to the point what they actually need. At least need it for anything in life. So it just doesn't worth it. It's not the point of, oh yeah, this is better or not, it just doesn't worth it. When you can easily replace those with a chest press machine, Romanian deadlift, or even just a hack squat or pendulum squat, and if you don't have any of those because they are elusive, or a leg press. If you are not suited for an exercise, there is no point doing it. And I heard people saying, the exercise you hate the most and is destroying you the most is going to grow you the most. That's absolutely not true. The exercise that is destroying you left and right, it is just going to do that, destroy you left and right. But you only need to grow. So this takes us to 4-0 to an each. The results you will get will be subpar. I heard people saying you can get 95% of the result from both ends, both powerlifting and bodybuilding. And that's absolutely not true, and I'm not even sure where they got this number. How many times you heard a power builder say that my hamstrings are inverted, my glutes are flat, I have to do hip thrust in my program, my triceps is small, my biceps is not as big as it could be, I have to do some arm exercises or put in a bro day. I have watched quite a few power builders and they always had these same complaints. So how did you get 95% of the result if most things are lagging and lacking? There is nothing wrong accepting the fact that your body part sucks because of your training mentality and training program you follow. 5-0 to an each. Subpar technique and range of motion, and why sumo deadlift exists. I don't want to talk about this point. I'm not a powerlifter, I'm not a powerlifting coach. If your only goal is to move the heaviest weight, whatever it takes, even if it means sacrificing your range of motion, then it is going to be subpar. In bodybuilding, we use a range of motion and technique that allows the targeted muscle to be trained at its best leverage to maximize hypertrophy. If you do the opposite just to lift the heaviest weight possible, that is really subpar. 6-0 to NH. Subpar methodology, 1 rep max. This doesn't even worth talking about. I love the effective rep model. It says that the last 5 reps close to task failure are the ones that contributing to hypertrophy. And I heard people say that this is not necessarily true, but I will just tell you this. Train 5 reps away from failure and come back in 1 year and say that you improved, because you probably won't grow an inch, nothing. So getting 1 effective rep for 3 to 5 sets is still just 1 set if you are using a hypertrophy 5 to 9 rep range. So it is really subpar, 7-0 to NH. Chasing the pump, you have your 3 main lifts and the rest is just accessories. Just as the definition states, the main 3 lifts are low reps and the bodybuilding accessories are high reps. In bodybuilding, we don't use accessories, we use lifts to improve our body. And they are never an afterthought, but we will get back to this later. It's 8-0 to NH. They skip movements saying there is no carryover to my main lifts. Since I'm not a power lifter nor a power builder, I can't really expand on what exercises are carrying over to my main exercises. And I'm not even up to date with that. I'm pretty sure it improved a lot in the last couple of years. But it is true that some exercises that are important to us bodybuilders are just being slammed at the bottom of your training program. I guess I won't give points here because I can't fully confirm it. Spider mode physique, arm exercises as afterthoughts. I like this. This is also a mix of genetics and training programming. If your genetics sucks and your exercise selection and exercise execution favors the muscles on your torso, then it is going to result in thin, underdeveloped arms. I used to have that. My main focus was bench press, squat, pull up and deadlift. And my upper body, my chest and back, were overdeveloped while my arms were disappointing my family. This is not always the case if you are a genetic outlier with great arm genetics. But if you are that and you don't focus on the main 3 lifts and you are just putting in some bro stuff, arm exercises, arm days, you are going to get even bigger arms. So that takes us to 8-0 to NH. Actually it's 9-0 to NH, yeah. Compounds are always low rep for strength, hypertrophy is always high rep for size according to power builders. I have bought some power building programs just for the sake of this video and I'm deeply disappointed. Because it is true, the main 3 lifts are always 3 to 5 sets in the 1 to 3 rep ranges, sometimes 5, and everything else is 15 to 20 reps. And this is dumb. This is just dumb programming. How many people have such a good conditioning and cardio to do that many exercises for that high reps without getting a cardiac arrest or stopping the exercise before task failure because of the burn? Not many. Maybe the genetic freak Joffrey. Yeah, he could do that. Actually, he's doing that. Not even a question here. 10-0 to NH. Bodybuilders also focus on strength, progressive overload. Exactly, bodybuilding is about strength as well, just in a hypertrophy rep range. That we know it's 5 to 30 reps, close to failure, if not all the way to failure. I believe powerlifters or power builders don't go to failure because that's not the goal of the main 3 lifts. I'm actually not sure, but I'm pretty sure they don't. But you can't build muscle if you are not getting progressively stronger within your hypertrophy rep ranges. And for me, that's always 5 to 9 reps because I'm following the effective rep model and it is working great. So this is 11-0 to NH. Steps. Don't focus on the big 3. Don't train for 1 rep max strength. Treat even your curls as equals. There is not much to expand here. If your arm sucks, you're not going to start with bench press or deadlift, you're going to do arm exercises. If your glutes suck, you're not going to start with squats, you're going to do hip thrust. And we know that from the effective rep models that the last 5 reps are contributing to hypertrophy close to failure, so doing only 1 rep is just counterproductive. Easiest, 12-0 to NH. If you apply all of these, you are not a power builder anymore, but a bodybuilder. Yes, this is correct. If you apply all of these, you are a boring bodybuilder. But what is wrong with that? You won't just have 3 main lifts, you are going to have 10 to 15 main lifts within a mesocycle. That's pretty much the only change, and the rep ranges, because all lifts are equal. This is my analysis, and I believe that power building is just a meh. You are not going to get 95% of the results from both ends. It is going to be way less. And if you want to watch these videos, click on the links, like, subscribe, talk to you in the next one.